Hello everyone, we are Introspective and welcome to the 6th video of our top-down shooter tutorial series. For today's video, we will be tackling the player death and the game over screen of the game, such as this one. That's what it looks like, the death screen. And now for the player health, it works like this. So when the enemy touches you, just like that, -1, touch again, -1, and you die. You just die. Like that. Simple. It'll also show your final score right here when you die. So, example, get 4, and we get hit. Final score is 4. You can retry or you go back to main menu. That's what this video will tackle. So let's get started. Previously, we've set the health and the score just like that, but now we need to make the player death script. Over here you will see the player health script, so we open it up. You need to make one, and of course you gotta put the variables, the typical variables. Of course you need the player health. For this video we'll just make it 3. You need the score manager from the previous video. You need both health and final score UI because you need to pass the score UI text over to the final score so that it displays that, as well as the player health UI so that we can disable it once the game over screen starts, and the death screen as well. So once it starts, the health text is very similar to the score manager because it is actually the same thing. Instead of adding score, we just decrement the amount that you put. So you take damage amount, you just health decrement amount, and then it updates. And once your health drops to 0 or below, you will die. Now for the die method, they want to set time scale equals 0 so that the game pauses once you die. You don't want the zombies running around disrespecting your body once you've lost the game. You want to set the death screen, the game over screen, this one, to true. You want to set the player health and the score UI to false so that it doesn't display once you die. And you want to update the final score UI.text to the score that is your score, which is this one. So once this one, yeah. That does it for the script of the player health. Okay, now that's not all you have to do. You have to go back again to the enemy health script, the one that we added add score from the previous video, and the bullet take damage one. But this time we need to add the player. Over here, you need to set the player health variable, which is this one, of the player so that it finds the game object with the player tag and takes the player health component from them and calls the take damage function from the player health from a while ago, this one. Once you set this, you can now go back to Unity and put the player health on to your player, like so. So you now drag the score manager, this one from the player, into this, the health UI, which are these two. I mean the both UIs, which is the health and the score. Over here, the health UI text, which is still this one, and the final score text, which is inside the death screen right here, as well as the death screen itself. For the death screen, just simple. This is just, of course, the text of the death screen right here, final score, and then 2 buttons which are also the ones from the main menu, the dark underline text, just like that. So once you've dragged everything here, which is the score manager, both texts objects and the 3 game objects, you should be finished. Just like that. And you can die. Now I forgot to mention last video that the colliders for the zombie prefabs have to be is triggered, so that they don't push the player when they collide with them. Over here, you just go to the enemy health and just put all the codes for the bullet on trigger enter, because it's a trigger. The collider is a trigger for the zombie, as well as the player, which is this one. Once the collider of the player enters the trigger of the zombie, they will take damage. Before that screen, we have 2 buttons, which are the retry and the exit button, these 2. Both have a script. Well, they have a singular script, which is the retry button script. So the retry button class houses 2 methods, the retry game and the menu button method, both of which just loads the scene and set the time scale to 1. For this one, it just replays the scene, the game scene, and unpauses the game, as well as the menu button, which just loads the main menu and unpauses the game. So once you've done the script, you just drag it onto the dead screen, on the dead screen canvas, or in this case, this is the game object that I made. You go over to the retry and the exit, both drag the dead screen onto this part right here, and then find the retry button class and just go menu button and retry game. So once that happens, you should be able to click it just like that and retry the game, and it does that because it's set to active. But if you play it normally, it should be like this, like that. So that does it for the mechanics of the top-down shooter game that we have made. The next series of videos will feature how the game was built, the prefabs, the sound effects, as well as the animations, which will be explained by my other groupmate, Harvey Hasmin. So far, it's been really fun coding this top-down shooter game, as well as leaving our legacy here at FEU Alabang. I hope that we see other students try on these amazing tutorial videos for Game Design 3, and that should be it. Good luck on everyone's capstone. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.